Bedwars dream modes. Everybody has their opinions, everybody has their preferences, but when I look at YouTube, I don't really see many people reviewing the modes. So I decided to do that here today. Here's my review of all the 4 Bedwars modes, including Capture. So the first Bedwars mode is called Capture. Basically, how this game works is in Capture, 2 teams must fight over control of the map by capturing resources, defending their beds, and attacking 5 control points. Each team starts at 1500 health and 1 capture point. The aim of the game is to capture points by placing beds on each point to capture them. The more points you have, the more damage is dealt to the enemy team per second. If you reduce the enemy's team health to 0, you win. You can also win by having the most health at the end of the game. Players can only respawn if they have beds placed down. Destroy all the opponent's beds and then kill them for a quick victory. Now you see, the majority of what I just said really doesn't matter. Most of capture mode is just you get in a party with your buddies, you rush middle, you rush their base, you break their bed, and you kill the team. That's pretty much how it goes every single time. If you fail the first few rushes, sometimes they'll be able to put beds otherwise. They'll be able to put beds in other parts of the map, but then again, you could just destroy them, and then it'll split up their players, and it'll become even easier to kill them. It's basically just 1v1 3s or 4s. Capture, in my opinion, is basically just more annoying 1v1 4s, if that makes sense. Then up next, we have Castle. Bedwars Castle features a huge map with 2 castles and 4 towers. The red and blue team are separated by a large wall in the center, which can be evaded with the underground tunnel system. There's plenty of space for both empires. Both teams have 1 castle and 2 towers, to the left and the right of the castle, and each of these structures hold 1 bed. You choose your position, rush towards your enemies, and destroy their empire or protect one of your team's beds with your life. The main thing about Castle is that you get these things called streak points, and in Castle's version 2, they added two new streak abilities. One of them is called Hot Floor. It makes your enemies dance by unleashing the Hot Floor streak power. This power ignites the floor and leaves a trail of fire behind you. Your teammates will not be affected by the fire. The streak will end when you die or once the time runs out. The next one is Block Wizard. Use the Block Wizard streak power to bring nearby blocks to life and launch them at your enemies. Your enemies will take 5 hearts worth of damage and they'll be launched back. The streak will end when you die or once the timer runs out. Now, you see, these streak abilities are pretty cool and all, but almost all of them pretty much suck compared to the Wither Rider. One of the streak powers is called Wither Rider, and as you would assume, you get placed on a wither and you fly around and you get to shoot fireballs at people. That's the most overpowered one in the game, and I would only use it. I only use the Wither power. I think every other streak ability kind of sucks. So these new additions kind of to me. But Castle, the thing about it is, it adds a lot of new cool features to the game that should be added to the normal modes. Like, for example, you can add resources to the team vault, and then you can take resources out of the team vault for your own pleasure, which I think is really good because basically you don't have to get your own emeralds. You can just use some from the team shop, and there's different limitations to prevent people from abusing it. There's also these cool streak powers. There's a couple other things, but for the most part, Castle, in my opinion, is just really slow, really drawn out, really boring Bedwars mode. It's really hard to be competitive because the thing about these kind of games, Castle is one of those like 2 really large teams against each other games. The thing about those games is that each individual person has very little outcome each individual person has very little effect on the outcome of the game. You know, you could be the best player in the world, but if 39 of your teammates suck, then you lose. It's basically your teammates are good, you win. Your teammates bad, or you lose. It's whether you win or not is a flip of a coin. That's not competitive at all, especially for leaderboard players. And the worst part is when Castle goes around, there's a weekly quest where you have to win 10 Castle games. Castle games last for 40 minutes usually. That's not happening. I'm not gonna get 10 Castle wins. That will take years. So I'm not the biggest fan of Castle, mostly because it's really drawn out, really long, and really boring. Here's where the fun starts. Here we have Rush Mode. Everyone is in a rush to get the win. This limited time mode increases the pace and fun of the game. All beds start with the 3-layer defense of wood, wool, and blaster glass. All generators, including team islands, start maxed out. Wool will assist with building bridges, placing an additional 5 blocks where possible. All players have speed 1 and haste 1 for the whole game. For Rush 2, they added solo mode. Stats are now tracked. They doubled the price of all potions. They removed obsidian. Yes! Sudden Death will now spawn 2 dragons. We slightly increased the speed of bridge building. And they now added the ability to toggle the bridging by left-clicking while holding wool. So, for example, if I just want to place 1 block, I can toggle that. That was one of the main issues with Rush V1, is that you always placed 5 at a time, which got really annoying really quickly. This is one of my more favorite modes because here's what I think about most video games. The more fast-paced it is, the better. Now, obviously, there's a limit to how fast-paced it can be to where it's boring and, it's the same thing over and over. But Rush heavily increases how fast you complete the game. And every fight, it shortens the distance between every fight. So you're PvPing more, the games last shorter amounts of time, which means you can get more wins and you can ultimately have more fun. That's what I think about Rush, and also it just makes the game way faster. I love it when features make the games faster. That's just my opinion on Rush. And then you have Ultimate. Now, people kind of have mixed feelings about Ultimate, but basically, the idea of Ultimate is it's ripped straight from Overwatch. You can select an Ultimate from the shop 10 seconds after the game starts. These Ultimates include Jumper, which is the ability to double jump, Swordsman, which is the ability to fling yourself forward and damage players in the way, Healer is the ability to drop healing in a small radius, Frozo is the ability to slow enemies, Builder is the ability to easily build walls and bridges. And then in V2, they added Kangaroo. Well, this was previously Jumper. It has a 50% chance to keep resources on death and gains free milk on bed destruction. I'm not sure about that one. I guess it's... Wait, do kangaroos drink milk? Where does the milk... Okay, alright. I think they just decided to add something to make it worthwhile. Frozo, and now they increase the slowness, and they now earn a snowball on kill. Wait. Oh, wait, actually, I can see that being somewhat useful. Nah, not really. Yeah, they added projectiles, some in a way. It's heavily nerfed, and it's really hard to get, but you can get them. They added some changes for Swordsman. They added the ability to teleport back to the location before you launched. This one is a big one. If I were to fail a jump, I can just teleport back. What I can do is I can leap over to a player, combo him to death, and then teleport back. I could leap to diamonds, grab the diamonds, and teleport back. This makes Swordsman OP. It makes it way more fun, not to be honest, but it's really OP. And the ultimate cooldown will be reset when you kill a player, so you can do them faster now. And also, here's the thing. Swordsman has a 5-second cooldown, and Jumper has a 10-second cooldown. But the thing about Swordsman's leap is that it only goes horizontal, while Jumper goes vertical. I don't know. I'd personally go with Swordsman because you can easily jump around the map and kill everybody, but if you really like Jumper, just go with Jumper. Healer added the ability to heal self on sword right click, and then there's a new ultimate called Demolition. It is a flint and steel that can burn connected wool in a radius, and it drops TNT that explodes shortly after death, and earns a creeper egg when destroying another team's bed. Not sure how effective that is. Another new ultimate is called Gatherer. A chance to duplicate picked up diamond or emerald from the generators, a portable ender chest. When own team bed is destroyed by another player, your team will get the highest cost team upgrade. If Swordsman wasn't too OP, I would probably advise trying out Gatherer, but it seems really interesting. But after hearing about all these kits and stuff, the thing about Ultimate is that it's the most fast-paced game out of all 4 of these, if you play it right. If you use Swordsman and you heavily rush everybody, you can get the game done in 2 minutes. It's ridiculous. It's also really fun. Like, I'll kill a person, and then 20 seconds later, I'm in another fight. It's like Sky Wars. Meanwhile, normal Bedwars, you kill a player, and then 2 minutes later, you're fighting another person. It goes from 2 minutes to 20 seconds. And also, I love it when in games you can fly across the map somehow. Like, for example, in most battle royales, they have an item that flings you forward. I really love those items personally. Like, In Bedwars, I love to fireball jump because it allows you to fly through the sky. Something that increases mobility, I love it. Because you can get around the map faster, you can get to people faster, you can conclude the game faster. Any item that concludes the game faster is good in my book. I'll be ranking these 4 Bedwars modes by giving them 4 different scores. How do the scores work? Well, essentially there's 4 categories to a Bedwars mode. There's how long the games last, how fun is it, how competitive it is, and how different it is from normal Bedwars. I'm going to rank the mode from 1 to 10 on all 4 of the modes, and I'll add up the scores, and we'll see. For capture mode, I rank the length at 6 out of 10, mainly because the game can be very long or it can be very short, depending on how you play and what players are in, and what the skill of the players that you're going up against. I put capture at about 6 out of 10 because it really depends on like the skill of the players that you're going up against and your play style that will determine how long a game of capture really goes. How fun it is, I rank capture at about 7 out of 10 because it's still pretty similar to normal Bedwars. For how competitive it is, I put 9 out of 10 because you can still use parties. Because you can still queue up into a party with 3 other good players and stomp everybody else, and it can become very competitive. And how different is it from normal Bedwars? It is barely different. Which is why I ranked it as 2 out of 10. And that gives us a score of 24. Now for Castle, on the length of the games, Castle games almost always last extremely long. Unless one team is vastly better than the other team, it'll last up to 30 to 40 minutes, which is why I rank Castle at about 2 out of 10. How fun it is, about 5 out of 10. The reason I didn't put it lower is because you control and spawn kill some people in that mode. But other than that, it's very tedious to run back and forth to all the castles because the map is ginormously large. For how competitive it is, I put Castle at a flat 0. There is no way you really can be competitive about Castle because 1, if you queue up in a party, your party will be split onto multiple teams, so you can't just queue 40 people in. And second, whether you win Castle or not is determined by, is your team good? Is your team good? Oh, you win. Is your team bad? You lost. That's how Castle victories go. So it's very, very hard to be competitive with it, which is a huge bummer because the weekly quest requires that you win 10 Castle games. That ain't happening anytime soon. Now for Rush on length, I decided 9.5 out of 10 because Rush, hence the name, the games last very short amount of time, which is what I like, so I rated it really high. How fun it is, I put 8 out of 10. The reason I didn't put it to 9 or 10 is because sometimes it can be very annoying because you can get clean because people have access to a lot of ender pearls. And for how competitive it is, I put it at 9 because it's very fast paced and it's very easy for very skilled players to dominate. For how different it is from normal Bedwars, I put a 6 out of 10 simply because it's still normal Bedwars, just you add some things are cheaper, blocks place when you place a block it places 5 and a defense is automatically put there for you. Rush is basically just a faster version of normal Bedwars. I didn't rank it super high. As for Ultimate, on length, 10 out of 10. Now, it depends on what Ultimate you choose, but if you choose Swordsman and you know what you're doing, you can get the game wrapped up in 1 to 2 minutes. That is awesome, especially for leaderboard players, because that's very quick games. The amount of time in between each fight is drastically shortened, because you can just leap from island to island. As for how fun it is, I put it at a 9 out of 10. The reason I didn't put it at 10 is because occasionally you'll have those people who, they'll jump to you using Swordsman, and then they'll retreat, and then they'll hit you again, then they'll retreat, and they do it over and over and over until they eventually kill you with attrition. That's boring. How competitive it is? 10 out of 10. Remember, if you have Swordsman, you know what you're doing, you can obliterate everybody. You can win the game in 1 to 2 minutes. Makes that very competitive. As for how different it is from normal Bedwars, I'd say 5 out of 10. Simply because Ultimate is normal Bedwars just with cool abilities. That's it. That's the only difference. This is my review of the Bedwars Dreams mode. Now, of course, everybody has their own opinion. This was simply my review of the modes. Obviously, I play the game a lot differently than most people do, so I would like to see some different viewpoints in the comments.